Guys, welcome back to Rolly Reacts. Back again with this. I know I've been gone for a few weeks or whatever, but this episode really just kind of hit those buttons where I got to talk about it. I got to get other people's opinion, and what the hell are they doing, man? I mean, I'm just frustrated with Lucasfilm at this point. Like, what the actual fuck, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like. Look, before I shit on this episode, I'm going to just say that, the visuals with Disney Star Wars are phenomenal. I mean, there's something that even the prequel trilogy, which, I hold near and dear to my heart. That's my favorite trilogy. That and anything with the Clone Wars, all of that stuff is my favorite elements of Star Wars. That's what I love about Star Wars. That's why I'm such a fanatic. That's why I buy these freaking products as an adult male. I shouldn't be buying this shit, but I just love the franchise so much. But ever since Disney has taken over, I mean, the only thing I could give them a compliment on is, Season 7 of Clone Wars, Rebels, I like the Rebels, Rogue One, but everything else is just like, they finally get in the groove of things, maybe take a step forward, and then they end up taking 2 steps back. And it's just like, get it together, man. Like, have a plan. Don't just throw shit at the wall and expect it, to stick, or say, oh, now we need to course correct. And especially in a season, this season, I mean, season 3 of Mandalorian, we waited 2+ years to get this season. Super excited. You're thinking, oh my god, we're gonna go to Mandalore. And if you watch like those episodes, or every episode that has like Mandalore lore, you'll see how rich that story is, how rich it could have been. And then when you see what they do here, where it's just like every week that goes by, we do some little rinky-dink side mission, helping droids not act up, and have corny ass guest appearances. It's just like, what are we doing? We don't have a lot of time here. We got to get the ball rolling. We got to get on the main page, and they're not, and they're just, I don't know, like, what they're doing, man. I do like that they're incorporating stuff from the prequel era. I mean, that is some of my favorite Star Wars stuff ever, right? Episodes 1, 2, and 3, Clone Wars, all of that stuff is just phenomenal to me, because it was original. It was created by the creator himself, George Lucas. He had his little apprentice there, in Dave Filoni, where he was able to kind of groom him to, make rich Star Wars lore, and have characters that had such impact on all of us Star Wars fans. So I like that they're bringing those elements back. Those paying homage to the elegance of Coruscant. I mean, going back to Coruscant in Andor and in this season of Mandalorian a few times, I mean, it's just been like a dream come true to me, because that's my favorite planet in all of Star Wars. And I know it sounds silly. It's not a real place. You can't go there. What are you even talking about, Rolly? But I love that planet, and I've always been infatuated with it. Every time I've seen it in the movies, I've always been like, oh my god, I want to explore. You could ask my wife and my kids. Like, that is my favorite planet in all of Star Wars. I mean, I've always wanted to see what else is there. What else happens there? It looks like a place of importance. It looks like a central hub. And I know they've established that in basically this season and in Andor, that it is kind of like a central hub of the galaxy, where a lot of official business is conducted. And I'm just happy that we're exploring that again. I mean, also where we're incorporating some droids and specific characters like Count Dooku and the Techno Union Army, and their involvement in things with these droids or whatnot. I love that they're bringing those not intimate, but like, yeah, those intricate details into the fold here. Those things I love. Great. What bothers me about this season so far is that, we have a limited amount of episodes. We have 8 episodes. They're not full hour episodes. They're like 35 to 40 minutes tops, including credits sometimes, which is ridiculous, right? Like, you have to establish the takeover of Mandalore, and you were on such a good track, right? Like, you had the season 1, it established the character, it established all this. Season 2 gets a little grittier, and it leaves it to a place where you're like, oh man, we're gonna go to Mandalore now, we're gonna revisit that. I don't know if you guys have seen, but like, all the episodes of Clone Wars with Mandalore lore, they touched on a lot of like heavy topics. People died. There was high stakes. That planet and that culture have been through so much, right? That they could work off of going into this season, and that's what we expected as fans. We were like, oh man, we're gonna go back to Mandalore. We're probably gonna see a ton of Mandalorians, and we have this season. Don't get me wrong; it's pretty cool that we have Mandalorians in every episode, and a bunch of them, not just a few. But it's just like the way they're going about it. They're taking their sweet time with these episodes. They're doing a lot of side quests that you could tell have nothing to do with the main plot. And we're 6 episodes in out of 8, and we really haven't established who the main villain is. And we have rarely been to Mandalore this season. We went there at the very beginning. It looked awesome. Well, it looked destroyed, but it looked awesome, right? The visual, you're like, wow, what a place of ruin. But then it also gives you a little hope, like, but what could it be, if all of these people get together? And I know we're establishing that this season, where it's like, yeah, all of these factions, they're going to get together and they're going to rebuild Mandalore. But to get there, we're doing a lot of side quests that have nothing to do, or maybe they do, because we're going to establish some context that could come into the fold later or whatnot. But it doesn't really seem like anyone on these side quests has really been significant, right? And we're just like wasting time. We waited 2 years for this season, and we're getting these like little missions that they have to go on. That could be for animated shows, but we've already established Mandalorian and as the main thing for Star Wars right now, right? We have no movies coming out. Everything is based on TV, but the one that OG fans and new fans alike love is Mandalorian, right? And it's just like, this late in the game, you're 3 seasons in, right? Why are you experimenting on this season when you had a banger of season 2? So why are you experimenting now? What I mean by experimenting, for example, is when we walk on into that planet, when they're trying to find out where the other Bo-Katan and Din are trying to find out where the Mandalorian faction is. We get to this place and we meet 2 new characters, right? And they're so cheesy. It's Jack Black and it's Lizzo, right? They stand out like a sore thumb. Like, I had to do like a double take. Like, I'm like, am I seeing this correctly? What is this? But I'm like, I never judge a book by its cover. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, maybe they're decent. I don't know. You know what I mean? But then as you watch the episode, you see, look, they're there to reel people in, like new fans in with a recognizable face. And it's just like, that's such a cheap move, because I could see if they were like doing good in their roles and they had a significant thing, but you got Jack Black there, which you assume from seeing, the moment you see him, you're like, oh, he's like comic relief or whatever like that. But he's not even like good comic relief, right? And he's dressed in like some corny outfit. And then Lizzo starts talking, and you could see it was almost like a commercial for like a product. Like, Lizzo's there, and I love her music. Don't get me wrong. Lizzo, amazing music, right? And maybe she wants to try her hand at acting, whatever. And I'm not saying she did terribly, but it's just like the only reason they had Lizzo there is because, she's super kind in real life, and she's always like, stands out. Everybody loves Lizzo. And they wanted her to have a moment with Baby Yoda, like a cutesy moment, so people would be like, oh, look, Lizzo with Baby Grogu, whatever like that. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, I see what you're doing here, and it's like, this is not the time to be doing this, man. We're 6 episodes in, and there's 2 episodes left. We haven't established what the real purpose of this season is, right? And we've barely been to Mandalore. But like it's just like why? And then it looks like we walked into Love and Thunder. Like this, all these colors and different species dressed in like all these colorful outfits and everybody, and then them talking, Jack Black and Lizzo talking like they're in an episode of Game of Thrones, like my lord and my lady and whatever they were saying. It was just like, dude, this is stupid, man. This is trying to reach and get a laugh. Like this is what Marvel has done bad lately, and it seems like they're trying to emulate Marvel by having the humor incorporated and having the welcoming bright colors, to reel people in, and the star power too. Let's have Lizzo here. Lizzo's hot right now. Let's just put her in this thing, and then Jack Black, he's always funny. He's done Shallow Hal, and there are things that I like about Jack Black, but it's just like, come on, man, we don't got time for this right now. We got 2 episodes left. We need to establish the big bad, and we need to get back on track at what the story is this season. I mean, like, what are we doing here? So it's stuff like that just like annoyed me. And I know I'm gonna jump ahead a lot, whatever like that, but this is full spoiler review. Later on in the episode, Bo-Katan, she goes. There's 2 issues with later on in the episode, but she goes and she challenges this Mandalorian. Because he basically said he's not gonna follow her and he's not gonna join her or whatever like that, and so they start a fight, and this corny like rock / techno music from like the 90s, like from like Power Rangers, came on, and they start fighting, and you have like this super cheesy Power Rangers music, and even like the shots, the way that they filmed it looked like Power Rangers.
I do.
And I'm just like, what am I watching right now? Like at one point there, I was like, like if let's say I was talking to a friend, and I always do, right? Every time I talk with my friends or whatever, I bring up Star Wars. They're like, why do you even like Star Wars? It's so this and this and that. And I've defended Star Wars till I'm blue in the face, right? I'm just like, I love Star Wars. It's phenomenal. But if I were to tell a friend today, or when this episode came out, hey, you should watch this latest episode of Mandalorian with me. This show is fire and it's so good, right? It's like on a hot streak right now, and it's what every Star Wars fan likes. If I were sitting there and we had to witness that together, this like Love and Thunder type humor, and then like this Power Rangers fight scene and this cheesy music that everybody that's not a real sci-fi or a Star Wars fan thinks that music belongs in there, right? Because it's cheesy music, right? So they feel like cheesy music for cheesy content, right? And we're over here, diehard fans, saying, no, like, you gotta understand, like, these stories are like real deep sometimes. If I were to show a friend just randomly today this episode, I would be sinking in my sofa like, oh my god, they're gonna think I have the worst taste in Star Wars ever. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's so cheese, man. To have Lizzo here, her talking in old English, here he, knighting Grogu. For what reason? Why did you knight him? What did he do? He hopped around, did like a little flip, which they did for comic relief. But he did like a little flip and was eating snacks. Like, what are you knighting him for? It's just something that's cute. Like, oh, Lizzo knighted Grogu. Oh my god, now we could play that at the MTV Awards as like a little skit or a little bit on Saturday Night Live. It's just like, bro, this is corny, man. And I don't think it comes from like Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau. I think it comes from like a higher exec, right? Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni probably come in with a story idea. Look, we need to do this. This is how it's going to tie into the overall story, yada, yada, yada. And then the exec that doesn't like Star Wars, right, just looks at it as his money bags, is sitting there like, you know what I think would be awesome? Let's get Lizzo in an episode here. She's hot and popping right now. And oh, you know who? I think he's so funny. Jack Black. Get Jack Black here. And it's just like, why are we doing this? You know, especially with this show. If you want to, you know, experiment with this kind of corniness, you know, or this type of like Marvel-esque humor into Star Wars, do it on a show that's not established, that nobody really cares about, that's maybe geared more for children, right? But we've established that Mandalorian, yes, it's for the whole family, and I appreciate that because I also have kids and I want them to watch Star Wars even though they don't like Star Wars, but I want them to be able to watch it, right? I don't want them to see something too dark, too crazy. I understand that, right? But there's a way of doing it that is acceptable to show children, in my opinion. And it's either, I don't know, maybe they're just too scared to go that route because they feel like, oh man, we're gonna push people away that are potential Star Wars fans, you know, and they're gonna just be like, ooh, I can't, you know, my kids can't watch that or whatever like that, so they just don't go that way, right? Or it's just like they're so tone deaf that they're like, you know who would be funny? I could just picture it now. Like, I don't even work in Hollywood. I've always wanted to, but I could always imagine that. Like, you come in with a serious idea based on lore that's established. It's really super for us, the nerds, the people that love this lore, this storytelling and the universe of Star Wars so much. And then the exec doesn't really care about that. Yeah, you know, that's kind of cool and stuff like that. But this is what's going to make it pop. And this is what's going to reel in the non-Star Wars fans. And, you know, keep the regular Star Wars fans alike, you know. And who's going to say no to the boss? Not many people. You know what I mean? So, I think there's just, like, too many missed opportunities. You know, there's a lot of cheese in this. We've gotten derailed from what Mandalorian was. And I know it's just like a nip in the road. They could adjust this still and still make this could just be a hiccup in the road. If we look back at it 5 years from now, we're probably like, oh, you know, season 3 was a dud. But look at how far it's come and how rich this has been established and stuff like that. But if they keep throwing this shit in, like, it's just like, it disgusts me, man, because it's just like they're so tone deaf and they're gonna create a divided fan base again, you know, if they start following these trends. And you know what, when I say that they are incorporating like Marvel type humor and stuff like that, they're not even using like the good stuff that, you know, was funny from Marvel. They're using like the latter humor, you know, that is recent, like, for example, Love and Thunder. That was, in my opinion, that was a trash movie. And Thor is my favorite Marvel character. So for me to say that hurts my heart. Like, you know what I mean? Please, Disney, I know I'm a nobody, right? But if you're listening to this, please, if Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau come and they give you an idea, listen to that idea. You don't need to go and follow everybody else. What people loved about Star Wars to begin with, like I said earlier in this video, was the uniqueness of it, right? It was one of its own, or one of a kind. And every time George released some stuff, it was new. They didn't rely on nostalgia. They didn't rely on celebrity. They just relied on good storytelling. Yes, the dialogue during George Lucas's time, atrocious sometimes. But the storytelling, the characters, and the worlds that we got from that man and his crew, I mean, it's unmatched at this point. So, listen to The Apprentice, Dave Filoni. He knows the good story beats. And I'm sure he comes and tells you guys, and you guys shut him down or say, hey, you have to incorporate, you know, some of this pop stuff, pop culture stuff. We need to reel fans in and stuff like that. And maybe it works for some people. Maybe I'm just biased. Maybe I'm turning into an old man that is over here defending the prequels, and who knows. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, I know I went on kind of a rant there. I could continue going in circles about this. But yeah, I'm just I want to know, do you guys feel the same as I do? Like, do we feel that the Mandalorian is slipping away at this point? It was kind of the last good thing. Andor was good, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of slow and boring at points. And then that's why this is a polar opposite, right? This season they're like, oh, we need to have a bunch of little side fun missions that people are like entertained, and you know, maybe some people need that to stay focused, and they don't want to focus on like the politics or like the deep stuff. But dude, I mean, do it for your hardcore fan. Please don't derail this any further. Let's get back on track. I don't know how to say it. I hate to be like a whiny, you know, ranting person here, but it's just like, we have 8 episodes this season. We're at episode 6 right now, and we have no idea really. I mean, we kind of could suspect that it's Moff Gideon that's the main bad, and he's gonna come back, and probably the last 2 episodes are gonna be all, I mean, they have to be. If the last 2 episodes are not good, I mean, this season was a bust. Like, what did we wait 2 years for? You kind of just scrambled something together and threw it out there, and I don't know what's going on over there, man. And it's just like, we've had 2 solid seasons of Mandalorian. You were finally like, all right, this is at least something that they're getting right. They're listening to the fans. They're making adjustments. They're doing this stuff. And now you trust it, right? You know, you broke our confidence with the sequel trilogy, you know, episodes 7, 8, and 9. You went ahead and fucked that up. And then, you know, you mess up a lot of things, but finally you got Mandalorian. You're like, oh, you know, at least there's Mandalorian. We have Dave Filoni. We have Jon Favreau at the helm. They're going to handle that. And even Bryce Dallas Howard. I mean, the previous Mandalorian episodes that she produced or was a director on, phenomenal. And this was a total change of pace. And I don't know if it's like a script that they gave her and she's like, well, I got to do my best to try and work with this trash or whatever. But it was just like, or maybe she's trying her hand at something different. Who knows? But I really think it's coming up from a higher exec, and they're just like, oh, do this, and you know what will make people laugh, and who's gonna say no to the boss? You know what I'm saying? Nobody. So I don't know, man. I mean, I want to know what you guys think. This episode just really frustrated me. I mean, these last 2 episodes, they have to hit, you know, and they have to get to the nitty gritty. And they still, I feel, they still have to kind of introduce something that's going to go into the next show, Ahsoka. You know, Ahsoka's coming at the end of this year, I think in the fall. And, you know, there's been no kind of inkling or mention of that. So I'm hoping that, you know, we have a bomb-ass episode with Moff Gideon. Some stuff goes down, you know, and then I'm also hoping that maybe Thrawn gets introduced or something, because, like, I mean, these 6 episodes, I mean, I would say 2 have been bangers, the other 4 straight trash, and I'm getting nervous, man, because what, now Mandalorian's gonna lose its popularity because they wanted to experiment on this show, experiment on something else. That, what is that other one called that's gonna be like Stranger Things? What's the name of it? There's another Star Wars show coming out. You know, experiment on that. Experiment like you did on Boba Fett. You saw that this corny, cheesy stuff did not work there. You know, let's establish a big bad, and let's explore Mandalore the way that we should have. I mean, there's a lot to rebuild there and do, and I'm sure there's factions of Mandalorians on Mandalore there that we are yet to see. And I just hope. I hope it turns around. We got 2 more episodes. They need to be bangers. If they're not, I mean, this is a terrible season. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Until next week. Sorry I'm so negative this video, but it's just, this was a herder. All right, guys. Well, until next week, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.